Hello everyone, my name is Julia and welcome. It's November now, which means that it's finally time for me to film an October wrap-up. And so there I am with my October wrap-up. But before I really get to talk about the books, I want to say that there are only 4 of those because I fell into quite a reading slump at the very end of the month. There are 2 books that got me into this reading slump, out of which I still haven't found the way to get out. And those books are first, The Turn of the Screw by Henry James, and second, This Marvelous Thing, which is a 4th part in an adventure series. A series of adventure books. And with both of them, there is one similar problem. The plot is great. I really want to know how the adventure series concludes, and I really want to know what happens next in The Turn of the Screw, but both of them are extremely difficult to get through in terms of writing, style. The sentences are long and difficult to understand, and it is quite a challenge to maintain your focus because the mind just constantly strays to anything, like whatever else, rather than keeps focused on the text. Well, hopefully I will find the way out of this reading slump, but anyway, there are still 4 books to talk about. And the first of those is Yellow Face by R.F. Kuang. I read it like at the very beginning of the month. It was a book for a book club. I started in September and I finished it in October because it was like September/October book club. And the plot hinges on a young 20-something unsuccessful writer, June Hayward, who has a more successful writer friend, Athena Leo. They're celebrating Athena's signing a contract with Netflix to create a series based on her book when Athena accidentally chokes on a pancake, and our bereft June decides to take a half-baked manuscript of Athena's with her and then edit it. And what happens next? See for yourself when you open this book. And the first thing that I want to talk about is how Kuang paints her characters, especially main characters. She's just professional at creating unsympathetic main characters. Robin in Babel, maybe he's not just my type of guy, but to my mind, his indecisiveness and at the same time wish to be like the good boy were not quite attractive, let's put it so. And in here, June is a bad person. Like, really, she does a lot of nasty things, despite the fact that there are things to feel compassionate about her too. Still, she does a lot of nasty things, and we can't call her a good person. But still, somehow, Kuang manages to write the book in such a way that to the end, you're like on June's side and really wish her everything good, despite the fact that you understand what bad things she has done and what not really intelligent person she is. And the second main character, Athena, despite dying at the very beginning of the book, she's still a main character, is extremely relatable for some reason, which is quite scary, I must say. Like, it's double scary because of the fact that I found Letty the most relatable character in Babel. So this successful Athena is not a very good person either. she did nasty things too. But of course we feel compassionate towards her because like she died, literally died. And I think it's quite a special feature of this book that we can't just paint any of the characters black and the other white, and both our main characters are just people and not saints. Like, oh, we feel compassion towards both of them, and there are things to abhor in both of them. I think that's great. Another feature of Kwang's books that I've noticed is the ending. In Yellowface we get something of a mixture of an open ending and an inconclusive ending, and in Babel we clearly had an open ending. So about Babel I've already talked like in August, and about Yellowface. I call this ending open because it feels like open. No one is sure what's gonna be next. There are variants, there are options. And as for it being inconclusive, I think that it is inconclusive due to the pacing of the book. So the pacing is like up and then down, up and then down. There are peaks of tension, and after that peak, everything flatlines, and then there is another peak of tension, and the whole book is constructed of those cycles. And when after one of those cycles we just see that it's the end of the book, it feels quite strange, because to my mind nothing would have really changed if the ending were like one cycle earlier or one cycle later. What's interesting is that June doesn't really learn her lesson. In the end, I don't think that she gets anywhere from where she was in the beginning. Like, there was character development, of course there was, but it feels like this was a development that had the shape of a circle, and in the end we come to the point where we started. It's just that Junie became Junie the nutcase, and that's it. She hasn't understood anything as far as I see it. And, well, what else to say? Because of that book I stopped rating books, because when I realized that I really want to give it 3 stars, but it doesn't feel morally right to give it 3 stars, because it makes me think that I'm just a dumbass who can't understand the brilliant and ingenious conception of this book. But 4 stars feels like too much for it, because I got way less than I expected I will get in this book. And the only topic that to my mind has really been brought up is the one of excuses versus real problems and reasons. And as for the critique of publishing, which the book is supposed to be, it's not like a general critique, it's a critique in the eyes of Kwang, like her personal experience, because like everyone sees that Athena Liu definitely takes quite a lot after her creator, and for that reason I don't really think that this book is a brilliant critique of publishing. It's rather something else. But after saying all those not so nice things about the book, which I still liked, I want to say that there was one thing which I absolutely adored. That was the writing and the insightful comments. I had quite a lot of quotes from that book, like in my screenshots, but I ended up somehow deleting most of them, and I only have 2 to share with you, which I will now read. So the first one: writing is the closest thing we have to real magic. Writing is creating something out of nothing, is opening doors to other lands. Writing gives you power to shape your own world when the real one hurts too much. To stop writing would kill me. Those are the thoughts of June. And to this, I only have to add that she's 100% right. I say it as the writer. And the second thing, it's quite short. Again, June's thoughts. I do fully believe that awards are bullshit, but it doesn't make me want to win them any less. Again, Kwang just hit the nail on the head. That's how it happens with every award in this world. Awards are bullshit, but you nonetheless want to have them. And for Yellowface, I think that's it. Then the second book was Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, but there has already been a deep dive into it on this channel, so I won't go into great depth now. Well, let's just say that it is still one of my favorite books, and despite the fact that I know some lines by heart, and of course I do know the plot backwards, it is still a very enjoyable read indeed. And moving on to the third book, it was a psychology book called Girl, Young Woman by Mark Barton. I read it in Russian because it's written originally in Russian. Despite the fact that the name of the writer seems to be English, it is not, it's just a nom de plume. And the book deals with traumas, childhood traumas especially, establishing boundaries, and the connection between childhood happiness and adulthood happiness. Everything about women, obviously, from the title of the book. It was quite enlightening. I definitely do not regret that I read it, because I learned something new. It gave me food for thought, and it put new thoughts into my head, which is just what it ought to do. But I can't say that I really enjoyed reading it, and that was because of the patronizing tone of the author. It's unbearable. Sorry, it is truly unbearable. Like, this man is a man. He is not even a woman, and how dare he speak using such words and such a tone when he speaks about women. If the book was written by a woman, I think I would have, if the book had been written by a woman, I think I would have enjoyed the process of reading it way more. And finally, the fourth book this month was Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. This was another book club, another book for a book club. This book club is like October/November, but I just finished it earlier because I was quite absorbed in it. A few things to say about the plot, just for you to understand what it is about. Our main character is called Elizabeth Zott. She, Elizabeth the woman. She is a chemist, a female chemist, obviously, in the 1950s, who is quite unhappy with her role because no one treats her seriously. She falls in love with another chemist called Calvin Evans, who's brilliant, and then he dies, and Elizabeth gives birth to a girl named Madeline, and obviously she gives birth to her out of wedlock because she didn't want to marry Calvin. She wanted to remain Elizabeth Zott for the sake of her research not being confused with his research. Struggling to provide for her daughter, she becomes a cooking show host, but she wants to be a chemist. Well, you see where it is all going. And now to the pros and cons of reading this book. I don't know what to call them, like the things I liked and the things I disliked. So first, I absolutely loved the fact that it was easy to read and extremely absorbing. I really liked the critique of the misogynistic attitudes. Like this a critique of attitudes in the 1950s, but obviously some things are still around even 70 years later. Like, if you're a woman, you agree. And I also loved the main character. She's witty and strong-willed, despite the fact that at times she's been really obnoxious. As for what I disliked, it's more about the plot. I mean, the characterization in the book is great, but the plot didn't quite cut the mustard. I mean, the plot twists were quite predictable. Like, the birth of Madeline was no surprise, and her birth out of wedlock was no surprise, and even Kelvin's death wasn't a staggering plot twist. I expected it to happen. So, and I'm not the safest person in the world. So obviously the plot twists are really predictable. And the second thing that I disliked is the way everything concludes, because all the problems are simply enough solved by a Deus Ex Machina, and Deus Ex Machina is the trope that everyone is laughing at, and for a reason, and solving all the problems of our main character with such a thing, with just, a wealthy woman coming and solving both money problems and identity problems of Elizabeth, isn't really so great. In real life it never happens like that, and this brilliant critique of the misogynistic world would have been much more brilliant if Elizabeth found her way out, if Elizabeth had found her way out of her problems on her own. And having said that, I think I've told everything I wanted to tell about the books I read in October, which means that this brings me to the end of this video, which I hope you have enjoyed. And if you want to see me again talking about books, and not only books, on my channel, please subscribe to this channel, Julia Caesar. And bye!